Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Tammy, also known as Unacceptable Canadian Girl on X, and with me are my two beautiful co-hosts, Ash and Suze. Ladies, how are you tonight?
I'm excellent.
I'm intrigued.
Suze, that was really quick.
Well, you know, we were all trying to be polite. I was like, I'm going to be rude today and just jump right in there. Whatever.
So we are minus Dave tonight, which saddens me because we have a very special guest on tonight as well. And he was super excited to be a part of it. But hopefully he listens to the episode. Dave, we will miss you. In place of Dave tonight, we actually have our editor-producer, Hayden. Welcome, Hayden.
Hey, everyone. I'm feeling over the moon.
Ooh, good one.
Over the moon. I love it.
And I also miss Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, and you miss Dave?
He better listen to the episode. If he doesn't, I might throat punch him. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm confident he will. So as I mentioned, we have a special guest with us tonight. We have Jason, also known as at UAP Bay on X or T-Bay MUFON, and he is a former NCI investigator for MUFON. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome, Jason. We are stoked that you are here. Please, can we get aliens to come get us, please?
I'll see what I can do.
So, Jason, just for everybody listening, maybe just tell us a little bit about you. And for those that don't know what MUFON is, maybe just give a little explanation of what that is as well.
Absolutely. So I am a civil engineer and a commercial drone pilot by trade. I have been involved in the UFO field in one form or another for the past 20 years. And in that past 20 years, I was also the national chief investigator for MUFON Canada. MUFON stands for the Mutual UFO Network. It is worldwide, and it's the largest UFO reporting organization out there. So yeah, I've been with them. I was with them for 6 or 7 years and served as the national chief investigator for 4 of those years.
That is wild. Well, we are super excited to have you on, especially with all of the recent events lately. All the UAPs or alleged UAPs being spotted mostly across the US, but I think there's even been some in Canada.
That's right.
So I guess let's start off with, what are your thoughts on this?
So even though I'm not involved with MUFON still, I still have all the tools available to me that I would use, and I would look into cases for them. And I can say with 99% confidence that everything that we have seen is pretty easily explainable. So a lot of planes, surprisingly, are being misidentified as drones, and that's actually being backed up with actual radar data that you can go on apps like Flight Radar 24, and as long as you're able to convert your local time to UTC time, which what is like the universal time for flights, then you're able to see what's in the sky at that precise time and moment. And when you use that app, you can pretty much rule out a lot of what these are being reported as drones, and they're actually planes that are being seen. But there also are quite a few drones that are going up. And another way you could track drones is by using the Drone Tracker app. And you'll actually be able to see who the pilot is and everything. When it comes to the tracking them on radar, it was actually mentioned that a lot of the drones are below 400 feet. So it's difficult to track those ones because I guess they're below their radar. But when you got a Drone Tracker app, this could be something that you could fall back on and see what's happening.
Wow, that's crazy. Also, I feel a little bit disappointed.
That doesn't mean that everything is, though. I'm saying what I have seen, there has been nothing that stands out as anomalous to me. that can easily be explained as, yes, that's a drone. Yes, that's a plane. Yes, that's Venus. I seen an over zoomed image of Venus being passed off as a drone. The person said it hovered there for 8 hours. And I was like, yeah, that's a planet, man.
You're like, that's Venus.
But yeah, just because most of them are explained doesn't mean that all of them are.
Well, that's
so there's that little hope.
That's more comforting.
Yeah.
See, Tammy, we still got hope. We still got hope.
Go ahead, Ash.
I'm just wondering,
Yep.
so with your drone tracker app, is that only for drone operators with a license?
Well, that is a good question. When DJI started making it so that when you purchase your drone, you have to register your drone, and that drone registry becomes part of your drone. And when you send it up, that it's basically like a geotag for where you are, where your drone is, and it comes back to you.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Because situations like this were happening before legislation was put in place that you had to have some sort of a tracking device on it. People were flying over airports. People were sending it off into stupid places and interfering with air traffic and whatnot. So they had to find a way to combat that by making larger drones have that tracking in them.
I'd be going to Epstein Island is all I'm saying.
With your drone, not physically.
Well, yeah, with my drone. With my drone.
Yeah,
creep.
not you. I'd be going to Disney too.
Yeah, fair enough.
Area 51.
Also that.
Most definitely.
So actually, Hayden, since you brought up Area 51, what's your take on a lot of that stuff? Because obviously there's, a lot of alleged UFO or UAP activity out that way. Do you think it's just all military, or do you think there is, something else out there in that area?
That's an excellent question. So, like I mentioned, I'm an engineer by trade. So I break down everything in my head, and my engineering side wants to say that it's all man-made, secret projects, this and that. But my conspiracy side says maybe they back-engineered something, and that's what people are seeing. Because I love Bob Lazar. I love Bob Lazar's story. I know he's such a controversial figure in the UFO field, but he hasn't changed his freaking story since he came out with it on George Knapp's show, and he stuck like pretty much the same exact verbatim tale. And what he described back then is stuff that we're seeing come to light now, however many years later, 30 years or so later, and he's still being proven right with a lot of things that he said back then. So I want to say, I believe Bob Lazar. I believe that the government found something. And whether they back engineered it or maybe flying one of theirs, I think that we most definitely have something. Most definitely there's something out there.
I love
Nice.
your conspiracy side. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Agreed. Do you think that they walk among us?
Ooh.
And that's another thing. So Bob Bigelow, he owns Bigelow Aerospace. He said this thing a while back, but he said that they're right under our noses when it came to either UFOs or possibly aliens. I wasn't 100% sure what he was referring to, but it gave me the impression that he may know something more, because he was the one of the people that backed up all that research at Skinwalker Ranch. The guy is a billionaire. He's involved in aerospace. He's another conspiracy. He actually paid MUFON for a whole bunch of stuff to take place back in the day, and it caused a big ordeal. And I want to believe that Bob Bigelow knows that there's aliens and they're walking among us. So if Bob is saying they are, then I'm going to go with the billionaire.
That's fair. And
but myself, I can't say that. I've ever seen proof of them walking among us or anything like that. If anything, I've heard quite the contrary.
Well, what about the Miami Mall incident?
Ooh.
The Miami Mall incident is a weird one, that's for sure. But at the same time, I haven't seen anything that would prove that was other than a large police presence at that mall. But what were they there for? I have no idea. I think it was like a bunch of kids got out of hand or something, and then this police response bigger than 9/11 shows up to the mall.
I could
It's
be
kind of
wrong,
sus.
So
but
it
Tammy,
wasn't. Go ahead,
sorry.
Hayden. No,
I was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
Tammy, you showed me like videos. Weren't there like silhouettes of like creatures or something? Like, or maybe am I making this up?
No, that's right. That's right.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But when you zoom in or have it like processed a little bit better, you can see that it's two police officers walking beside each other.
Yeah, and it's like a big shadow too that they're projecting, so it looked
Yeah.
larger than life.
Yeah, so it looked like the Stig figure walking around with a big bulbous head.
It's really disappointing. I was really hoping for something out of that.
I didn't know. I should have done my follow up because now I'm disappointed.
So that wasn't Will Smith in the Men in Black, is what you're telling me?
Hey, maybe they flashed us. Maybe they flashed us with that little thing, and this is what they implanted in us for us to think it was.
See, that makes more sense.
That's right. It does.
Well, okay, so since you bring that up, this is my conspiracy side coming out. I'm sure everybody's shocked.
So shocked.
I recently heard the stupid Men in Black song on, and I think I made Hayden listen to it actually.
because he's never heard
Probably.
it before.
Yeah, he probably hasn't.
We hang out too much.
And so when I was listening to it, I noticed that the lyrics are very, how do I see this? Kind of like they're programming us almost.
Really?
And I'm just looking them up. This is why I wish we had Dave. So Dave is our bringer-upper of all things.
I was just doing that now.
But it's really interesting, like some of the things they say, like the good guys dress in black, remember that just in case we're ever face to face and make contact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We ain't on no government list. We straight don't exist, no name and no fingerprints. But then there's another part. With quickness, talk with the witnesses, hypnotize, neutralize, vivid memories turn to fantasies.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So there's way more to it because there's so many lyrics to that song. But I was like, oh my gosh, were they like getting us prepared for this from, a super, super young age? Well, for some of us, a young age. For Hayden, he probably wasn't born.
Hey, you're probably right, but I have seen Men in Black.
Okay.
Have you seen all of them?
I'll give you that.
Yes, even the new really terrible one with Chris Hemsworth and whoever that chick was.
I actually didn't. Oh, did I see that?
I know more than you.
I can't remember if I saw that one.
It was terrible. It was actually my first date with my ex, they, them that we talk about so much. Anyway,
I know the Men in Black dance. Okay, so let's not go there.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Some things you shouldn't say on air, Sue.
Yeah.
Okay, Hayden, can you take that out? No, I'm kidding.
No. I fully
I don't
expect to see a TikTok dance within 24 hours.
I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Anyways, I just thought that was kind of weird. And so that brings me to my next point, which was I have been curious about, probably like most people, about aliens and UFOs for, my entire existence. And for a long time, I was like, yeah, there's got to be something out there. But then when the government started admitting to it, I started to be like, nope, it's not real, because they would never admit to it. And then it kind of turned me away from it. So what are your thoughts on that, Jason? Like how do you feel now that they're kind of coming full circle and admitting to it?
So when you guys remember when the government released those 3 videos?
Yes.
The Go Fast, the gimbal. So one of those videos a bunch of us actually seen back in 2007 firsthand. It was posted to a website that it's like a forum that we go on. A bunch of us go on. It's called abovetopsecret.com. And there was
all
someone,
of us furiously typing in the name of this website.
yeah. If you want to get to the bottom of something, you go on there. There are some brilliant people on there that's like that it becomes their duty to solve a lot of this stuff. So someone posted the video of the USS Nimitz Tic Tac incident onto that website back in 2007. And I remember seeing it, and I was disappointed because a couple months before, there was another video that was put out by someone in Australia that did it for an art project. And it was so similar to what the Nimitz incident video was that we thought that it was a copycat, that someone was just messing around and trying to put a little hoax on, because this field is full of them. Fast forward to I think it was 2017, I think it was, when those videos got released. And it was like, wow, I seen this video already, and went back and looked at the thread. And sure enough, the person was saying how that they were on an aircraft carrier and how they took this video off of some government computer that they had there and uploaded it from somewhere in I want to say Germany. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure, but they uploaded it over in Germany to the website. And yeah, so a lot of us thought it was a hoax back then. Turns out it's apparently real. When they came out with that, I was disappointed that they had Blink 182 guy heading the helm there of To the Stars Academy, because the videos that came accompanied with the New York Times article, I believe they had the To the Stars Academy. What is that? Ink print, or not ink print, but watermark on it. So when you go to their site, it's got To the Stars Academy on it. And just having Tom DeLonge's association with it, it kind of made me skeptical at first about it.
Yeah,
and then I started,
me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't know what to think. I thought for sure it was some sort of distraction. Like, why would they be coming out with this? And then suddenly, speaking more about To the Stars, they have all these government officials that start coming out, and I'm thinking, like, how is this rock star dude involved in this? Like, why is he being centered around these government officials and they're coming forward with all this stuff? Mm-hmm. It really made me wonder. But at the same time, I was still part of MUFON at this time, so I was really happy that more eyes were getting brought to the subject, and it was getting out of that fringe type of topic there that people would be like, yeah, whatever, kind of woo-woo type of stuff. I was happy that it was being taken seriously, because the amount of evidence that I've seen over the years, the credibility of the people that I've spoken with and got firsthand information from, there's most definitely something taking place. Most definitely. But it was just odd, the timing and the people involved when those videos came out is what I found weird.
Yeah, anytime a celebrity gets involved or the government is like, yeah, no, it's for real, trust us. I'm like, I probably don't then.
Exactly.
But I've tried to keep still an open mind with it. So, but I am having a hard time just because the government admitting to it. It makes me think like of Project Bluebeam, or, that they're going to pull some crazy trick on us. That said, I do want to know, what are your thoughts on Stephen Greer?
The biggest, fakest charlatan snake oil salesman this field has ever seen.
So
Can't see me, but I'm pumping my fists in the air.
Are you saying that the CE5 protocol is not real?
Not the CE5.
Is that what you're telling me right now?
You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. The CE5 protocol. He got your $15.99.
Damn it.
He got you.
We'll finally
been
stop
trying.
doing it.
We've
an
been
hour of
trying
work.
for months.
Yeah, well, that's disappointing. I legit thought that I saw a UFO a couple years ago. It was Venus or Jupiter. It was one of the two.
Damn
But I thought for sure I saw it, and I actually chased it and tried to get to it because I was like, please just take me.
Okay, I have a question. Well, it's actually I'm gonna call out Ash here, but Ash saw something in the forest. I would love her to describe it to you, and you kind of tell us your thoughts on what the heck this may have been. Now, keep in mind that my guess was that it was aliens, and that they left her behind because she was still a liberal at the time.
Oh yeah.
But she's going to take it away, Ash. Like, tell us what you saw.
Okay, well, it wasn't in the forest. Like, I live in a forested area, but it was over water. But it was my husband and my husband's cousin. The three of us saw it. So basically, we were at our marina. I live in an island, so we were going to our boat, and it was like the best way I could describe it would be a red lantern looking object that was floating in the sky, and it was there for, I don't know, we might have been watching it for about 10 minutes and then it just kind of floated away. But it definitely wasn't a drone. Like, it didn't have, this was probably 20, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 2018, somewhere around then. And it just kind of like hovered around, and it definitely wasn't a Chinese lantern. But you know what I mean?
That's what I was going to guess.
But it had that look. And actually, so Michael Schellenberger was on Joe Rogan, and he was describing the exact same thing. And so I was really excited when I heard that, because I'm like, that's exactly what we saw. And that was around the time where drones, you know, there were more drones out and about at that time, but there was no sound to it. There were no blinking lights. And yeah, we have no idea what it was. And of course, like, I feel ridiculous now because we didn't take our phones out and take a picture or anything, but I think we were just so mesmerized by it that we just kept watching it, like trying to figure out what the heck it was.
Maybe that's what it did. It mesmerized you.
And
like,
you
on
know,
purpose.
That actually is a thing that happens to witnesses.
What?
A lot of witnesses report that they had no inclination to even pull out their phone to start recording. It didn't even come to their mind.
Which is crazy because, like, here, like, we have a fox around here right now, and I'm like on it all the time, like, I gotta get a picture. Of, there's an owl. I gotta get a picture. Like, I'm the type of person, if I see something, I'm like, I gotta get a picture. And like, I literally feel retarded for not pulling out my phone and like getting a picture or video. But it's like, I don't know why we didn't. There were three of us there. We all saw it. And we just watched it. So yeah.
Well, Jason has just admitted it was an alien and it mesmerized you, so you would not take a picture of it.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Case closed. And they left you behind because you were liberal. See?
Another, for when you're doing stuff like that, if an app to have on your phone is called Stellarium. So
how do you spell that?
STELLARIUM. Stellarium.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Carry on.
And basically, it knows your location. So any stellar object, satellite, planet, star, you can point your phone at it and it'll tell you what it is.
Oh, this is awesome. Hayden has it up on the screen. Thanks, Hayden.
I'm learning how to be Dave. It's fun.
Yeah, it's an amazing little app.
Fist
and it's helped
Hayden.
me solve. It's helped me
Oh,
solve
thanks,
an
Fist Ash.
incredible amount of cases.
Okay, but I have a question. If you have this app and you're like, Ash in her wooded area and this thingy is on front of her and it is an alien mesmerizing her, is she going to think to pull out this app?
That's up to her. That's totally up to her.
See, the thing is, like, I would, I have no idea what we saw, but I would never see that and think that's an alien. You know, like it didn't seem like an alien presence to me. I mean, but obviously, like I'm picturing, I don't know,
How close
Marvin
were you
the Martian, but like, it was definitely something strange. It was probably maybe like, I don't know, what would I say? Like maybe 20 feet in the air, 30 feet in the air.
So it was below a tree line then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big would you say it was?
Hard to tell.
Like just a rough guess. Okay.
Hard to tell, but let's say if it wanted to beam me up, I wouldn't fit in it.
Yeah.
No,
think.
Like I don't know, like smaller than the Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah.
The Chinese spy balloon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's hard to come with a determination about it like now with such little information, but it's something for your memories at least, eh? It's something that you'll always think back to and be like, what the hell was that?
Well, what do you think it was, Jason? Like, what do you think it was?
Well, you said you couldn't hear buzzing, which is
nothing.
The instant telltale of a drone. You didn't see no flashing lights on it. Orbs have been reported forever, going back forever. Red orbs, green orbs, white orbs. It's quite possible that you legitimately saw something.
Yeah, and it was just it was at dusk, so it was at that time of day where, I mean, when we first saw it, it was a lot clearer than, as it kind of, like, it wasn't that long that we were watching, it was probably, like I said, 10, 15 minutes that we were watching it, but, like, it was definitely getting darker at that time, so we didn't even have that much time to, like, as it kind of went up in the air, because it was kind of slowly, like, drifting up in the air,
Was it going with the wind, or was it just doing its own thing?
It was hovering.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It wasn't a balloon. It wasn't acting like a balloon, except that it was sort of floating there.
How high above the water? Did you say 20 feet?
Actually, probably higher. Probably like, I mean, I'm terrible with like distances, like kind of, like.
Yeah.
So, okay, 20 feet seems a little too low. Maybe like.
But you said like, below the tree line.
Like, maybe like, it could have been like 60 feet. I don't know. My husband's probably going to laugh at me when he watches this because I'm terrible with distance. But like, it definitely wasn't so high up in the air that I couldn't like kind of definitively see it.
Did it remain stationary at that spot, like hovering, or was it moving the entire time?
It was floating, but not with the wind.
Okay. Yeah, that's most definitely based on just that information. You saying it was below a tree line. You didn't hear no buzzing. This is at a time, like you said, before drones were in everybody's hand. No blinking lights. I would have classified that based on your testimony with 3 people saying the same thing. That would be an unknown. And an unknown is what we called in MUFON as a UFO.
Right. What? And so and also my hubby had drones at that time. He had many different drones. He has like a hexacopter. He has like the little mini ones. He has like DJI drones. So
so you had a drone expert with you at the time. We know
what drones are, yeah. And so like he probably had, at that time, 6 or 7 drones. So it wasn't anything like any of those. And so we know what like a high-pitched little one sounds like. We know what the big one, the hexacopter, sounds like. So like we get the gamut of what those could have been, but it definitely wasn't a drone, but I would say it was acting like a drone as far as like how it was moving.
Yeah. I fully believe you because I'm a bit biased because I've seen the red ones too. I've seen 3 of them at the same time. So.
And how big were they, the ones you saw?
I couldn't even tell because it was against the night sky. I'll go into the little story here. It was winter. It was January, actually. We lived out in the country. Really dark at night. And I was outside having a cigarette. I looked up just because I always looked up at the stars and whatnot because the sky was always so crystal clear. And I see it looks like a faint red light in the sky moving. And I'm watching it, sitting there watching it, and then another one appears, and then a third. And there's 3 of them. I want to say that they were above my house, but they weren't. It was probably way farther back, and these were high up too. Way beyond what you would legally fly a drone at. I go in the house, I get my daughter, and I grab my iPad. And we're recording them. We're out there recording them for about 20, 25 minutes. And the whole time, I'm getting her to describe what she's seeing, how I'm seeing it. When they're moving, I'm following it, and then they're staying stationary. Like they'll move a little bit, then they'll stay stationary for a while. Then they'll move again. And this whole time, I'm narrating exactly what we're seeing because I was also an investigator at that time, so I knew exactly what I had to do, what information I need to record. They disappear, one after another. I go in the house, and I go to play back the video. There's no video.
Come on.
What?
There was 5 seconds
Oh my goodness.
of me hitting the record button and saying, okay, and you can see my camera tilt up towards the sky, and that's it.
Are you
Come
serious?
on.
No way.
Wow.
Not anything more than that. And the whole time I'm watching, making sure that it's recording.
That's crazy.
I am angry for you in this moment.
Wow.
Wait, did you see the recording like as you're recording this on
As
your
I'm
iPad? Did
recording
you
it,
see it
as I'm
record and then when
watching
you
it,
sit
yep.
back later and watch it, it wasn't there?
Not even 2 minutes after.
That Men in Black came and deleted it from your iPad.
That's exactly what happened.
Must
oh my
have
God.
So, you know what's weird is I wonder, like, did I take a recording then?
And that's
Did
another
you
thing.
erase that from my memory?
And that's the thing too. Like that's what went through my head. And I was like, no, I know I recorded. I'm watching it record. I know I had 22 minutes of recording video time.
Wow.
And now I have less than 2 or 3 seconds.
That's crazy.
It was mind-boggling.
And that's not hard on Apple because they give you that large recording bar at the top. Like there's no way to know you're not recording.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, okay, so I have a question since we're talking about these experiences. So this is not my experience, but this is somebody that's very close to me. It is his experience. And I'm guessing he would want me to ask if he knew we were having this conversation. So when he was a kid, he would see this like orb come in, like it would basically move from outside to inside through the window.
Transmedium, okay.
And I think one night he had said got like it came inside of his bedroom and then it left through the window, and then it got super, super bright outside, and then this thing came back in. And as a child, he would get visited by this little orb that would just float around in his bedroom. And he would, like, because it kind of freaked him out, he would put the covers over his head at night, like not knowing what it was. What would that be?
So when it comes to stuff like that, I was also part of the experiencer research team, the ERT with MUFON, and it would basically triage people who claim that they were abducted. So for something like that, and if it was a repeat occurrence, I would have suggested to him to have a hypnotic regression. With hypnotic regressions, they work and they don't. You can fool someone by making up a story as you go while you're being hypnotically regressed, but that's not in your best interest if something's actually been bothering you and you want to figure out what it was. Mm-hmm. Trauma comes in all sorts of forms, manifests itself in all different forms in our lives. And having something like that, maybe it's something his mind used as a coping mechanism as a child.
Interesting.
I'm just spitballing here, but I would most definitely ask him to think about a hypnotic regression session with a credible hypnotic regressionist.
Okay. I'm totally telling him that I told this story and that he needs to do this.
I can actually provide him as a referral, and he won't have to pay very much to get one because he's going to be charged for it no matter what, but it's not expensive. But if I give him a referral to do it, it'll be even less.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you explain what this trans medium is you mentioned? And can I just also say that I don't like that it has the word trans in it? Anyways, go ahead.
Just the ability to go between two different types of space. So say if it was in the air and goes into the water, or going from outside through a solid structure and back into an open structure again, like a room. Being able to move freely between those types of space.
And so you think that there's a chance that he potentially didn't see this and this was something else kind of manifesting?
It's totally. I'm not a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Never even played one on TV. So, but
I've heard that's a thing,
is
though.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, like people hide, or I guess not hide, but mask like trauma when they're younger with something that a child's mind is easier to understand.
The monster in the closet. In the closet.
I've heard that's a thing. Again, I'm not a psychiatrist either, but it's definitely worth looking into because I have heard that a couple of times.
Hayden has played one on TV, though.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I am very curious. I'm sure everybody else is too. I know you and I chatted a little bit back and forth about this as well. For all of the non-actual UFOs that you've seen, how many actuals have you seen?
Ooh.
That I can't even count how many, like when it comes to reports or visually by myself.
Visually, like by yourself, I guess. And then I'm also interested, just the reports too, but.
So I've seen 3 things that I can't explain. And when it comes to reports, I've probably seen hundreds. Because I've been doing this in one form or another for, like I said, 20 years. I used to do my own investigations before I even knew what MUFON was. So I would look into things. And then when the internet came around, that was like, it opened the floodgates for me. And then I was able to look into more cases. But being able to determine an actual number for how many unknown objects I've actually seen in a report, I couldn't even put a number on it. There's so many. But at the same time, say I get 400 UFO reports a year, I have a 98% solve rate based on the information that I'm given by the person, the witness that's submitting the report. So 2% of that is something I can't explain, me or my colleagues. And just because we can't explain it doesn't mean that it's a UFO, doesn't mean that it's alien. It just means that we do not have the data at this specific moment or enough information to determine what it is. That's another thing I would do with MUFON as well, is I would go back in their old cases, because I'll be straight up with you. MUFON has some piss poor investigative work. Some real freaking idiots that were doing some stuff. Like, when you talk about people like Stephen Greer doing the CE5 type of stuff, like this is like what their investigators were like. Everything in the sky had to be a UFO. Even if it was the International Space Station, it was a UFO going over. and that carried over into their reporting, and you would have the investigator putting all kinds of these straight up unhinged comments in there saying about how the International Space Station was a UFO, and an occupant in there had a telepathic conversation with the witness, and just really out there stuff. So yeah, a lot of piss poor investigating with MUFON in the past.
Can I actually add something too, just about like what I experienced at that time? Like now I'm way more tinfoily than I ever was in the rest of my life. And so at that time, like my husband is very a super rational person. His cousin, same thing, like very rational. And myself back then, I was whatever I saw was so confounding to me that I begrudgingly had to admit that there was something weird, So it's not like we were out there kind of looking for, and even to this day, like we didn't really even tell anyone because it was so messed up that we didn't want people to think we were crazy. So that's like almost how unwilling we were to want it to be a UFO or a UAP or what have you. We weren't looking for that. And so that's what was so weird about it, was that we couldn't explain it, but we weren't looking for some sort of phenomenon to happen or hoping for it to happen, or we weren't trying to make something into it, which was the weirdest part. It was just there. We couldn't explain it, and we almost didn't want to talk about it because, like, I don't know, that was messed up. So let's move on.
And a lot of and a lot of things, a lot of different emotions come with that. A lot of people's entire worldviews change after that moment. Mm-hmm. When you realize, like, what the hell was that? And it comes back that, like, after you do your research and try to figure it out, other people have seen something similar, and it's from credible people reporting it. And it changes your entire worldview.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question regarding these hundreds of reports that you've investigated, and they've all like been unknowns. Can you say, like, with your own personal experience, that at least one of them you would be like, that's 100% a UFO?
Oh, absolutely. There's many, and a lot of them actually were. So I left the experiencer research team after I knew that I wasn't a psychologist, and a lot of mental illness was being brought into the reporting. And then when you're triaging these people with their reports, your first job is to listen and make them feel heard, of course. But there were people that concerned me that they were going to hurt themselves.
Oh, geez.
You could tell that they weren't right. And that's why I stepped out of that field. But a lot of the most compelling evidence that I've seen for the UFO phenomenon that came with the most unknown explanation came from the abduction side of things.
Ooh. Oh, really? Huh. Explain.
So I was trying to find the report. I have it. I'm like I said, I'm on the road right now, staying at a motel while I'm working in a very remote area. So I just got my iPad with me. But on my computer, I'm guessing, I have some older reports that have some information redacted from, so you can't identify the witness. But I have video of their object that they've seen, the report of their abduction experience, the hypnotic regression transcript, and a chemical analysis came back for the object that they had in them removed.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I was trying to find that report. I was hoping it was on my iPad so I could give it to you guys to look over, and you could have put it in the show tonight with the information of the witness removed, of course. When the witness gives us that information, they're entrusting us with their personal information. And as a human being and morally, I couldn't put out a witness's information for other people to see. So
yeah, of course.
It would have to be redacted, heavily redacted, to remove any identifying factors. But the most intriguing part is the chemical analysis from their, I guess, implant is what you would call it.
Yeah,
Okay,
can you explain that?
Yeah, like when you say implant, is it like subcutaneous, or is it like in their butts, or
So yeah, implant is a loaded term. A foreign body was located on them.
Where?
In their leg, and they somehow knew it was in their leg.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wait, how do they know?
Somehow, I wish I had the report here to go over that part. I can't remember how they knew, but somehow they knew that there was something in their leg. And when they had it removed, it was sent to our lab in Colorado, and it was analyzed, and
and
it came back. It came back with some unknown properties. I don't know if they're unknown, but just anomalous properties.
Interesting.
Materials that shouldn't be in a person's body, pretty much.
Now, is it possible that their government did that to them?
It's possible. It could be. It's also possible that could be something that they put in themselves and just made it a very elaborate story to go along with it. And
or they were MK Ultra victims in childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
That is obviously.
Or that.
I have a strange bump on my leg, and I'm like, my heart's racing now. I've had it for a couple years. Hey, you know what? No, I had a doctor look at it once, and they're like, I don't see anything. So I'm freaking out now. I'm not even kidding. This is not made up. I just forgot about it until now.
Is this bump still there?
Yeah, it is. It's weird and it's squishy.
On your
anyway,
phone,
we don't need to go into too much detail. It's just this is a
on
real
your
thing
phone,
I'm struggling with now.
Download an EMF scanner onto your phone and run it over top of it.
Are you joking me right now?
And
I'm going to put the results on Twitter.
What's that? Electromagnetic field? Yeah.
Frequency.
Or frequency.
So do those actually work when you use them on your phone?
100%.
Interesting.
And you can test it by just running it over a light switch or a plug-in. You'll see.
Jason, I'm going to be a bit preemptive here, but do you know anybody that can remove a foreign body?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
We're going to be in touch.
Okay, so I do have a question actually removing foreign bodies. So when people have come to you, or this person in particular comes to you, because I guess they came like directly to you as a MUFON investigator. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
So this was just in the archives, and I was going through the archives to try to find a similar abduction experience that I have read previously.
Okay.
And I came across this report in the archive.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, Dad, this was one for the library.
So say tomorrow Hayden comes to you and says, I need you, this lump in my leg.
Let's not paint this picture.
I have adamantium in my leg.
No, that would be cool. That would be cool. Anyway.
Do you and you were in fact still with MUFON? Do you guys, because how do you can't just send somebody to the hospital and then call them and be like, hey, we're going to need that back, by the way. So how do you go about doing that? And do you have like trusted people then that do, like doctors that would do this removal? And
Yep. There's a custody chain for everything. There'll be a bunch of forms that have to be filled out, and everything will be followed. There'll be a kit sent to the home. For extraction.
Okay,
and
you're
extracting that shit yourself.
I don't know. Do you guys use Canada
for
Post?
shipping?
They're on strike.
Well, they're back to work tomorrow.
Okay. Yep. Oh crap. Just in time for Christmas anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, there is a big chain of custody that goes with it, and it's taken extremely seriously there.
Interesting.
Wow.
And how many cases do you know of where people have had, like so-called foreign bodies found in them?
Through MUFON or just in general?
Just in general.
Jeremy Corbell, I talk with him quite often. He actually did a documentary on this with Dr. Roger Lear. And Roger Lear became known as the implant remover in the medical field. So there's been a lot of people that have had objects removed out of their body. Now, are they being truthful as like they don't know where it came from? I can't tell you that, but a lot of these objects had, according to the documentary, had some very odd properties, like being able to emit an RF radiation.
Wow.
Very strange.
Huh. So one thing I'm curious about, in terms of your opinion, is the Travis Walton story.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Can you guys explain for the people who don't know what that is?
Like myself.
So
basically, he was a logger on a logging crew, and he was abducted for, I think it was almost a week or 4 or 5 days or something like that. It took place in the 70s.
Yeah, November 5th, 1975. Hayden has pulled it up on the screen here.
There you go.
In the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest near Heber, Arizona.
And there's a documentary in 2015.
Oh, yeah,
That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, Fire in the Sky. It's an old movie, but it was based around his entire experience. But it got Hollywooded out. These aliens became very malevolent towards him, I guess, in the movie. And he says that goes against pretty much everything that happened that he says happened to him.
This movie looks wicked. Here, I'm going to pull it up. This movie looks wicked.
Oh, so they made it into a fearful thing.
Oh yeah.
Just this one image of a skin-covered dude.
Yeah, I was terrified of that movie as a kid.
52%.
And now they've tried to make him out to be like that it's all a hoax and stuff. But his story has never really changed, and that's what kind of always intrigued me about it.
I remember that movie.
He played a civilian in the movie. That's neat.
Yeah, one of I think it is Mike, one of his best friends, Mike. He's the one who's saying that everything was a hoax and that Travis is doing this just for the money or whatnot. Because from what I heard, Mike wasn't invited to be involved in the newest documentary coming out about it, so he wasn't going to get any money out of it. So he was trying to sabotage what Travis had going. So there was a theory about it.
What a dick Mike is.
There was a theory about what happened there, that it was a hoax and that there was a fire tower that is in the middle of the forest there. And apparently, though this is the theory, that somebody went up there with a spotlight, shone it down on Travis. There was only one other guy in the crew that knew about it being a hoax, and it was supposed to be like a practical joke. And it just got carried away. I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently when they went back to go look for Travis, they went to a different location other than where it really supposedly happened originally. There's a big, long explanation online about how it quite possibly could be a hoax. And in fact, the UFO was the fire tower. It's got big windows in it, kind of perfectly resembles what Travis described the object as. And it's worth a read, though, if you want to get the other side.
Where do you stand on it?
And what are your thoughts on it?
Oh,
I when it comes to it being a hoax, it's quite possible, because look at Greer. He's made an entire career out of hoaxing people. He hires a private plane to go dump flares over the ocean, charges people $20,000 to come to his little CE5 gatherings, and he rips people off by telling people that these planes dropping flares, these flares are UFOs, and they just summon them with their minds. You know, there's a lot of scumbags in this field because there's so many people that want to believe in something.
Cancel
they need
the tickets,
something to believe
girls.
in something.
I did not know he did that. That's so shifty.
Oh yeah.
I already didn't like him. I haven't liked him for a long time, but that just makes it worse.
So, I would just like to ask. Tammy brought it up a little bit before, but what are your thoughts on Project Bluebeam?
Project like with the holographic type of stuff, or the theory that they're going to fake the alien invasion.
The theory that they've been faking it for decades.
It's entirely possible. It's like right now with this New Jersey thing, it seems like it is a distraction from something else going on.
Yeah.
So
usually,
just for the audience, the theory basically is that the U.S. government and probably other governments are faking an alien invasion in order to basically fulfill the New World Order, where people are so afraid that they take over control and institute, things for our safety. I'm saying in air quotes, and basically that's how they're going to establish, kind of the final nail in the coffin of relieving us of our freedom. So,
yeah,
yeah,
I think it's entirely possible.
Well,
possible. Like, look what Trudeau's trying to do. I don't mean to get political here, but I hate that son of a bitch. But
that's okay. We all hate him too. We all
good.
You're in good company. Yeah.
Nice. But look what he's trying to do with the Online Harms Act right now.
Yeah.
Who is the one determining what is harmful for me to see?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's the one to determine that? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. So the government overreach and government control that's 100% true, and to the extent that they'll go for it.
Yeah, when you think about MK Ultra and how far that's gone, and that does extend into Canada, as we've covered before.
Yeah.
So
I
don't doubt that there are a lot of people, like I myself have seen something strange. I don't know what it was. So I don't doubt that there are firsthand accounts of strange happenings, and I have no idea what there are, and I'm certain that there are things out there that I cannot explain that are supernatural. But I also don't doubt that our government very much is trying to control us in any way possible, and I wouldn't put anything past them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I totally agree.
On a side note, Canada released their UFO files long before the U.S. even had came to an admittance about them. It's on the Government of Canada's website. They have archived reports going back to like the early 50s even. There's so many reports on there.
I do believe that the world is a lot more supernatural than what we've been led to believe. And I mean, I don't trust Tucker Carlson, but I know that that's something that he's really gotten into recently as well, where he's convinced that they're trying to keep that type of stuff away from us, or trying to make it look so ridiculous that we don't give it a second thought. And so that part of me is like, okay, are they doing this all because it's real, or because they're trying to make us, I guess, not believe in that side of life?
Or a potential, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to put it, Tammy, because that is kind of what happened to me, is that I was so adverse to looking ridiculous that I didn't even tell anyone about what happened to us at the time, right? Or not what happened, but what we saw. And so there's that idea that you could make something seem so ridiculous that you never want to question it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it almost like, pushing it to become the mainstream also does something in the way of dismissing it as well, where, just like what I said earlier, now that they're coming forward with it, I tend to not believe it. So, now I'm kind of like reflecting here, going like, wait, if they can hide all of the supernatural from us, because like I don't know where everybody else is at, but I'm convinced Satanists run the world at this point. So if they can hide that they've been eating children for 100 million years, they could basically hide anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry if everybody's not at that part yet, but
No. But you know what? I like what Ash was saying too, because it makes me think about all the weird or unexplainable things that I've seen where they have made that person in the public mainstream the crazy person no one wants to talk to. So I don't even talk about some of the things I've seen, or maybe even just mask it and go, well, whatever, I was just tired. You know, like it's
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. So, Jason, do you believe aliens are real?
Absolutely.
Why?
Whoa.
That sounded judgmental. It wasn't meant to be.
So, based on the things that I have seen come through on reports and the credible people that have spoken firsthand accounts to it, there's got to be something that's piloting the objects that people are reporting. Maybe that's an AI. Maybe that's an alien. Maybe, maybe the machine itself is alive. I don't know. But I 100% do believe that there is life out there and that it's actually visiting us.
And do you think it's, kind of what we've been taught, the little green men with the big eyes and that type of thing? Do you think it's something else?
Most recently, so I've seen so many reports of the Greys. There was always the Greys, the big black eyes and big heads on them. But then it was started coming in reports of what they called as the Nordics, people that looked just like, or aliens that looked just like people, but they had either enlarged eyes or some type of feature that stood them out different. Like there was just something off from them. When I was, as I was leaving MUFON, a lot of those types of reports were coming in. And of course, like reptilian, there was all kinds of stuff about reptilians in there. But the most interesting stuff always contained an insectoid and the Greys.
Insect. See, back to the Men in Black. You were preparing us.
Well, they always tell us what they're doing before they do it. So
exactly.
Maybe.
Jason, I have a question.
They told us a lot.
You mentioned this earlier in the episode, and my husband's a huge fan of this show. Have you ever been to Skinwalker Ranch?
No, I haven't. But I've talked at length to Brandon. I've talked at length with people that have been there. And I even gave Brandon, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, I gave him some ideas to try for certain things. But no, I haven't personally been there.
Okay. Who wants to take a trip to Skinwalker Ranch?
Let's do it.
I'm down.
Obviously. But Jason, do you want to just give a quick explanation for our listeners as to what Skinwalker Ranch is? Because not everybody will probably know.
Yeah, it's apparently a UFO hotspot in the Uinta Basin in the States that for, I guess, centuries, the local native tribes around there have reported strange lights, strange occurrences, objects coming out of the actual ground, out of like portals, just appearing out of nowhere, and most famously, the entity known as a skinwalker.
Was that the same place where they had, like, I think there was a whole bunch of, like, all the cattle just mysteriously died?
I'm not sure if they died. I don't know if they died, but there was most definitely some cattle mutilations that took place in and around that area. Like the whole area, it's not just focused to Skinwalker Ranch. Like that is the hot spot itself, but the surrounding area also gets a lot of reports. And there was who was it? I think it was the Shermans. They went by that had a cattle farm there, and he couldn't find all his cattle. They were these prized bulls or cows, and suddenly they find them all packed up into a trailer with the lock on it or something, some crazy story like that. And there was like apparently no way that they could have got this big cow in there and having him shut the door behind himself. And it's some pretty crazy stories, some amazing, fantastical stories that I would love for them all to be true. I don't believe them all, of course, but it'd be pretty fantastic if they were true.
All right. We're taking a field trip to Skinwalker Ranch, guys.
Whoop, whoop.
What are your thoughts on... Sorry, Ash.
I was just going to ask if you think that these beings are benevolent, ambivalent, or evil.
Or evil.
The thing that... So when it comes to certain types of them, it's been reported that they were emotionless, like robotic.
Okay.
Almost like a type of AI in a form. If you don't have an emotion and you don't see something as an equal, can you really be evil to it? I don't know.
Right. Because my hubby and I have talked about the idea that, I mean, if they would just see us like lesser beings, like we would see an ant, are we really evil to ants? Like sometimes we step on them or whatever, and sometimes we might find them fascinating. Like, oh my God, look at, they're carrying that piece of food. How are they doing that? But it's not like, I don't know, we're not.
Well, there's always that one kid with the magnifying glass burning them.
There's that kid.
There's that one jerk. Yeah. But.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they're just indifferent. 100% indifferent. They don't care if we live. They don't care if we die. And they just want to do a study.
Yeah, just interested in us, but not necessarily evil or benevolent.
Yeah. Like the most cliche term, does a lab rat think that the scientist is trying to hurt him or hate him when he's being experimented on?
True. Well,
could be the same
Fauci.
type of thing. Yeah. That's true. That's absolutely true.
Just kidding, YouTube. Fauci's great. We love him. He's the best.
What are your thoughts on the Alaska Triangle?
You know what? I haven't looked too much into it. I haven't looked too much into the Alaska Triangle, but I know that there's been a lot of reports. A lot of reports come out of the Alaska area, and generally in the north as well, like northern Canada. But I haven't looked too much into the Alaskan Triangle itself.
Have you seen the movie The Fourth Kind?
Absolutely.
So for anybody that hasn't seen that, it takes place in Nome, Alaska. And when they did that movie, they put it out as though it was based on a true story. I really should look into this because I really did like that movie, but they claim to have had the original footage with, the like playing alongside the movie footage and all that stuff. And it's about this crazy alien abduction, not one, but multiple alien abductions that have been happening in Nome, Alaska. And somebody's child actually goes missing. Do you think, or do you know even, just through research, was that actually happening there?
No, it wasn't.
That's a letdown.
So there was no FBI going up there or anything. But I shouldn't say that, because the FBI did go up there, but it was for missing persons as well. But what it was turned out to be was locals traveling from one town to the next in the dead of winter, intoxicated or whatnot, and going missing. It wasn't due to UFOs. It wasn't alien abductions and people being kidnapped.
This is really disappointing. I was hoping like we'd have the big break.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Could you imagine if that was real?
Well, the whole story is wild, and I remember seeing it in the theater and watching the because you've seen it as well, so you know what I'm referring to when I say that they had the the alleged
the found footage, the found footage there,
and it was wild,
intense, especially when that father shoots his family.
Yeah, like it was absolutely insane.
Some of us haven't watched the movie.
Really?
I gotta watch
forever,
this
and you haven't seen the
I
movie.
gotta watch this.
Yeah, you do.
Hayden, I can tell you will love this movie.
I might be putting it on after this podcast. Who knows?
Do it.
Sounds
it's
badass.
Do yourself
very,
a
very,
favor.
very good. They did a very good job with it.
Okay.
And it really roped me in, and I wanted it to be real so badly. What about all of and not that this necessarily has to do with aliens, but I know you have an interest in the paranormal as well. So what are your thoughts on Appalachia? Because I've been seeing a lot of TikToks on this. I sometimes just peruse TikTok for weirdness. And the stuff that goes on in Appalachia is very, very strange. And I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are. Do you even know anything about that?
I do not. You got to enlighten me, though.
Okay. So if you guys go on TikTok and you search Appalachia, these videos come up of people that live out there, and there's all these rules that they have to live by, to keep themselves safe. Like one of them is you never, you don't whistle into the woods, or if you're walking through the woods at night and somebody calls your name, you don't answer, say nothing. And
oh, really?
Yeah, there's where
the hell is this?
In the Appalachias, in the mountains. And a bunch of people do, I could have dismissed it if it was, a couple TikTokers or something, but this is a widespread thing. And a lot of them who actually live there will say when dusk comes, you close all your curtains. And even if you hear a noise or a knock at the door, you don't answer it. Never go outside. Wow. Yeah.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of it.
He's got something super creepy up on the screen, so we'll let him. Is it a video now?
Yeah, it's a TikTok of it's the Appalachian rules. I listened to the first 10 seconds, but we'll go through it. If it sucks, I'll cut it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
You have to understand that when you go into the Appalachian Mountains, you are entering into another realm. And there is a set of unspoken rules that you must follow. Rule number 1, if you hear something calling your name, right, you didn't. There is nothing there. And you should not respond. Do not say hello. Do not say, who is it? Just run away. Because something is trying to gain permission. And by you acknowledging it, you are allowing it to come after you. If you hear screams in the mountains, right, you didn't. And do not go towards the direction of the screams to try and help. Because once again, something is trying to lure you. If you see people, you don't. If you hear crying, you're not hearing it. Do not respond to this at all because you are giving permission to whatever is in those woods to come after you. Now, if you are to go camping in the Appalachian Mountains, right, you have to remember, at night, you must keep a fire going at all times. And it's not for warmth, it's not for cooking, it's to keep you safe. And if you are going to camp in a tent, make sure when you go into that tent, it is sealed up. There are no holes, there are no cracks. And if you hear any kind of screaming, yelling, or anyone calling your name, do not respond. Do not go to sleep. And if something wakes you up, stay alert, and once again, do not respond. Now, it's very important when you are walking through the Appalachian Mountains, if you come across a deer carcass, do not touch it, do not stare at it, walk away. ignore it, because this is something, once again, trying to lure you into the woods. Now, if it comes to the point that something is chasing you and it gets you and there is no escape, fight. Fight as hard as you can, whether it's a person, an animal. If it's something else, though, and you know what I'm talking about, well, you just let it get you, right? Because at that point, there's nothing you can do. And there's an old saying, you go into the Appalachian Mountains with 2 bullets, right? You fire the first one at something that isn't a person, that isn't an animal. And if it doesn't run away, you know what to do with the second one. You have to understand that when you go into the Appalachian Mountains, you are entering into
Jeez.
That was no, big time. Was like that intentional? Like, because it made it like so much creepier.
And, like,
I know.
Was it cutting out?
Demon voice.
I was like, what the hell is happening?
That just might be my shitty internet.
So the first thing that I thought was, oh my gosh, that's where the Satanists go to sacrifice people, and they don't want you to leave the path so that you see what they're doing. So they make you scared to stay inside and never leave your house or your tent.
Oh my God.
Well,
and that's the thing. That's the thing with those types, like those types of stories. He's engagement farming. So is it really true? You know, like that's like one of the things with social media. It makes it amazing to be able to share information. It also makes it so much more easier to put out bullshit.
Yeah.
So that had 2.1 million views.
Wow.
And I think here it says it had 202,000 likes. And that was from either October 17th or October of 2017. No, 2017 seems too old. So it's from October 17th this year.
So how much money did he make?
Well, it's TikTok. He probably made dog shit.
That depends where he is. Yeah, he probably made dog shit.
Oh, it's not like YouTube. Okay.
No, but if he had many videos like that, then sure, he'll make something.
The stories of the Appalachians get like a lot of views, especially on TikTok, because they talk about all these different like alleged monsters, right? Like the Grafton monster and the Wampus cat, the Bell Witch, Bigfoot, the Mothman. Like everybody knows who the Mothman is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, okay, so I guess while we're here, what are your thoughts on the Mothman? Because that's a big one.
That is a big one, and I want the Mothman to be true.
Me too.
I want it to be true. I haven't seen anything that would back it up being true, but it's something fun to just imagine it being true.
Well,
I don't know what the Mothman is.
Oh my gosh. Have you never seen the Mothman prophecies?
No.
It's so sick.
Okay.
I was in your shoes back in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
Tammy put me on.
Yeah. So the Mothman prophecies is of course it's been, Hollywood did its thing, but it actually was a really good movie. And the Mothman,
looks like Batman.
kind of.
Not really.
The Mothman legend is basically it's this creature that people tend to see before bad events take place. And so one of the biggest ones that it's known for is November 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. A bunch of people claim that they saw this Mothman creature, and it was like a lot of people said this, and it ended up the bridge collapsed. I can't remember if it was, I know it was close to Christmas. The sightings were between November 15th to December 15th, 1967. So an entire year.
Oh, wow.
And then the bridge at, I believe it was in Mount Pleasant, collapsed. I'm just double checking myself here. Yeah, so it started with two couples driving through the woods, I guess, first made like the first sighting of this thing. And that was in November.
On the screen.
Yeah, that was in November 1966. And then it was a year of people seeing it. And then on December 15th, a year to the day of the first sighting, the Silver Bridge collapsed.
And it killed, I think there were some people that died in it too.
46 people, and 2 were never found.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And that bridge, that connected the bridge connects Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio. And so it says during that time, Point Pleasant was being inundated with sightings of a large bird-like creature that came to be known as Mothman.
The anniversary of that was yesterday, by the way, everybody.
Wow, that's true.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's really creepy.
That's wild.
So that's not the only time, though. So there's been a lot of times in history where the Mothman has been seen before large events. I'm positive I read some stuff about the Mothman being seen around the time of 9/11 and all like different large events. You'd have to go back and kind of Google it, but it's definitely an interesting story. So I was just kind of curious if you thought it was real. Is it something that people made up, or to me, it seems like it could be real.
It could be real. Could be folklore. I think it was just predicted according to the movie. I don't know how Hollywoodized it got.
Yeah.
But that there was even small events that were predicted too. And not just things in the States, but things around the world. And that these people in the town were being told about them before they took place. I don't know if that actually happened or what, but that's how the narrative went in the movie.
I'm just looking here, and it says the Mothman has been seen before other disastrous events, including earthquakes, tsunamis, and the 9/11 terrorist attack.
Wow. I don't mean to make this about me because I know I already had another weird supernatural thing that I already talked about, but I think I have to share this.
Shit, Ash saw the Mothman.
Except it was only me, so it's not a large event. But it's really strange.
Okay, well, out with it.
So, and I was sleeping, so, that's that. So, obviously, it was like I was dreaming, but I dreamt that, like I wouldn't know how to describe it, but basically it was like death came and stood at the foot of my bed. And
sleep paralysis.
Yeah, no, it wasn't though. No, it's not sleep paralysis because I can control my dreams, so I don't get paralyzed during sleep. But I just looked at it, and like I don't actually know if I was awake or asleep when I saw it. Like I don't know if I woke up or if I thought I woke up, but I was just looking at this. It was like I would, before hearing about the Mothman, I would describe it as maybe the Grim Reaper or something that was just like a dark presence standing at the bottom of my bed with my hubby in the bed. And it just stood there for a while. And then I felt terror.
Yep.
But I understood that it wasn't going to hurt me. So I can control my dreams. And this time I'm like, I'm not changing this. I'm just observing. And then that was it. Like the next day I told, and this is kind of strange too, because it was actually my husband's cousin was staying with us, the same one.
I don't trust this cousin.
He's the problem.
I don't trust this cousin.
He's also our business partner. So he was staying with us, and I told him the next day, I'm like, okay, I had this really messed up dream and blah, blah, blah. Then we went out snowmobiling, and we fell through the ice on our snowmobiles. And
Stop.
Did I told my parents about this? Sorry, Mom and Dad, if I haven't told you yet. But we lost the snowmobile. We went through the ice, and like we had to try and like help each other get out. Luckily, all three of us were wearing survival suits, so we got out. But we had to like trek back. It was probably like a good hour for us to like trek back over the ice safely until we could get to somewhere warm. And like, I don't know, like I always just remember that as being like, wow, that presence saw me that day, decided it wasn't my time, and left me alone. Oh, and also while we were ice fishing, I got a call that asked me if I wanted to take out life insurance.
Oh, wow.
And I said no.
So it could definitely be the Mothman.
That's crazy.
But that seems like too small though, right? Like,
well, I don't know, because I don't. Yes, it's happened for big events, but like maybe other people have seen it. Like I know there was workers before the Chernobyl disaster that happened that claimed that they saw the Mothman too.
Right, and maybe only when other people are talking about it because it's a big event, then it comes out that other people are like, well, I saw something too, or I had a premonition, or what have you.
Yeah.
And there's a Russian ufologist that claimed to have seen the Mothman before the 1999 apartment bombings as well.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
That's interesting that you say that about being able to control your lucid dreams, because when it comes to sleep paralysis, that's the reason why I got involved in UFOs.
Really?
Oh, I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Because growing up, I had sleep paralysis as far back as I can remember. And I would wake up terrified, not being able to move. And the only thing in my mind that I could explain was happening to me was I thought I was being abducted by aliens.
Interesting.
This was before the internet, right? This is before the internet was in everybody's house. I'm 42 years old, so I got a couple years on the internet still. But yeah, that's I thought that I was being abducted, and it wasn't until I was 20 years old or so I actually decided to look it up, and what I found actually scared me more because I would see what was called the Hat Man all the time. There'd be a figure at the end of my bed, and
I'm not into it.
And then it would have either a hood or a hat on. And I always thought it was an alien, but apparently people all around the world have seen this Hat Man, and that's what freaked me the hell out even more, is because why am I seeing this? But I was already involved with looking into UFOs, so I thought I was being abducted, so I thought that was part of the phenomenon. And when I would have sleep paralysis, I would start eventually letting it take me, the sleep paralysis, and that's when I'd be able to lucid dream. Yeah.
Yeah, it can
kind of weird.
You have to let go. Yeah, and then it get into like awesome dreams.
Yep.
Are you guys familiar with what I just threw up on the screen? Can you see that okay?
Yeah. I can see it, but I don't know what it is.
Do you guys know this one? It's another guy that appears in your dreams. He'll like sit on the foot of your bed.
Oh, okay.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why?
So the story goes, and again, it's been a while since I've seen the video, but somebody went to their doctor's office. They described this man, and he drew out this picture, and then he kind of dismissed it, like first time hearing a thing, maybe it's just this one guy's dream. And as this doctor had visits throughout the oncoming week or however long it was, patients that would come into his office saw this picture on his desk and they'd go, "Wait, I've seen this man," and apparently talks to you in your dreams. He guides you, and it's very, very strange. You guys should look it up. Just type in YouTube, "Have you seen this man?" There's so many videos on it.
I don't want to look it up.
Looks like my grade 6 music teacher.
Well, the only weird story I have is when my brother saw me dead at the foot of his bed.
Oh my gosh.
I was a teenager at the time. I was maybe 18, 19, I don't know, something like that. And he was working messed up shifts, and he was sleeping in the middle of the day, and I wasn't even home, and he said he woke up. He claims he was awake and not sleeping. He said he woke up and he saw me like a ghost figure, like very like ghostly looking at the foot of his bed. And then he like freaked out and he turned on the light and I was gone. And then he's panicking, calling me. And I was at the movies or something. So I was like not answering my call. And he thought something happened to me. He thought like, and then finally I call him. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. What the hell?"
Wow.
Maybe it was you from another timeline.
Maybe.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to one last question that I personally have. There has been a lot of talk about aliens perhaps being interdimensional.
Yep.
Rather than, something that we're just going to randomly see in the night sky. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that would be the most plausible explanation.
Okay, that's where I'm at as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because even at the speed of light, things are just billions and billions of miles away. So if you're going the speed of light, it's still going to take you forever just to get here.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're able to basically like an instant transmission type of thing, swap between dimensions, then that seems like would be like the most plausible explanation for something like that.
Well, and if anybody, when we've talked about this multiple times on the show, but if anybody's familiar with the gateway process, Jason, are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, wow.
It's okay. So I'll give you just kind of a quick explanation of it. But the gateway process was something that the CIA looked into. It was actually discovered by a man named Bob Monroe, and he found that if you put certain sound waves in your ears, basically what happens is your brain hears the difference. So if you put 120 hertz in one ear and 100 hertz in the other, your brain hears 20.
Can I say something real quick?
Yep.
I just want to mention that the name Bob keeps popping up. What is it with the name Bob? Bob Monroe, Bob Lazar, Bob Bigelow. What is with the Bobs? What do the Bobs know?
Popular name, I guess.
What the hell?
So the CIA ended up getting involved because Bob Monroe was able to basically he was able to astral travel or astral project, if you know what that is.
Yep.
By using these sounds, which is now known as the gateway tapes, and you can find these tapes still. I don't trust them because the CIA dipped their hands into it. So I did start to listen to them, and then I was like, nope, I'm not going to do this anymore because I don't trust anything that the CIA has touched. But there are people that have claimed that they've been able to, astral travel, astral project using, some of these various methods that they speak about in the gateway process. And the binaural beats, which is what Bob Monroe used, are just one way of being able to do this. They touch on many, many ways in the CIA documents. But to me, the most plausible thing seems to be that we have the ability, and we just don't know it, to be able to kind of travel interdimensionally. And a lot of the people that discuss astral travel and who are able to astral travel, I know somebody that I trust very, very much, who I'm very close with, that has been able to travel that way since he was a child. And some of the stories that he's told me about beings that he's encountered and all these different types of things, to me, it makes the most sense that maybe that's how these things are getting here. But it would also, and they say this actually in the gateway documents, that it actually explains people's paranormal experiences if that is the case, and we are able to kind of travel through dimensions astrally. So they actually address paranormal activities that people experience and say, yes, like, this kind of explains that away. And one of the things I'll use as an example is I I used to work with a guy, and he had a girlfriend, and one day she was doing laundry in her house, and it was business as usual, and she's walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden she runs into another woman doing laundry in her house. And
weird.
The other woman dropped her laundry basket because she was just as surprised.
Huh.
But then she just disappeared.
Now that's messed up.
That is messed up.
So I think that, and this is just my own theory, but I think that everything, kind of runs on its frequency. And here we are on Earth and our frequency. But, maybe when we die, we tap out of this frequency and go to a different frequency. But, we know that we're energy. So is it crazy to think that these other beings are also energy and they've found a way to tap into this and travel interdimensionally? I feel like that got really deep.
That did get
Real
deep.
Real
And
deep.
it's a damn good explanation. Like the Monroe Institute has been around forever, and I'm assuming it's probably has something to do with that Gateway project because they do remote viewing there.
Yes.
And they teach it there.
Yep, that's the exact one I'm referring to.
Yeah, and they have the big quartz crystal outside to hone in that type of energy.
Yep.
And yeah, exactly. So remote viewing, it seems to me there'd be some type of interdimensional travel as well.
Interesting.
And can you imagine
validated?
There's still like one poor alien family out there who decided to travel at the speed of light, and the kids in the back are like, "Are we there yet?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we should have interdimensionally traveled.
Yeah.
I have one final question I want to ask you, Jason.
Sure.
Do you think we've been to the moon?
Yes.
You do?
Ooh.
Do you
absolutely
think that what... Because our whole thing is like, why haven't we been back, right? And Dave, who isn't with us today because he's working, he said his theory was maybe we've been there and something scared us away to not come back.
Well, there is that theory. There's those apparent NASA recordings that
that's what Dave said.
Yeah, the amateur radio dudes picked up. Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but saying that they're all lined up on the ridge there and they're watching us. They don't want us to come back or something like that.
So the moon landing that they've shown us, you think is real?
I don't know. That I think could have been done by Stanley Kubrick because yeah, exactly. I'm sure a lot of people have already heard about that theory.
Yep.
I would say that maybe the film got screwed up because of having to go through the Van Allen belt, the radiation belt. But at the same time, NASA probably prepared for it, so I don't know. But maybe the film got messed up and they had to do something to prove that they did it. And which is why Kubrick said that I'm not sure if that's even true that he said that he did it. I heard that he said that he filmed the moon landing. And it was...
Why do you think that they did the moon landing then? If you understand the Stanley Kubrick kind of theory on things, why do you still think that they landed on the moon?
I want to believe in science, and I think that would be one of the most amazing feats of science that we could have done.
Why haven't we gone back then?
Well, we are. Apparently we are. They're starting to, we haven't yet, but we are planning on going back.
But they still haven't figured out the Van Allen belt.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I heard, what was it, that you're going through it so quickly that it has very minimal effect on the astronaut. But at the same time, I also remember hearing that it messes with your rods and cones in your eyes. So you see dots and sparkles from the radiation when you close your eyes, which would be kind of neat. I don't know 100% how, but I truly believe that we went to the moon. We landed on the moon. multiple times and are going back, because we also have satellite. I believe there's even satellite imagery of the flag on the moon.
Tammy.
It could have been manipulated. I work with satellite imagery every day.
Okay, well, my thought is, first of all, I respect your beliefs and your answers, because I just do. I do not share them. I think that their little moonwalker looked like something that I could make in my kitchen with some tinfoil.
Yeah.
There's no wind on the moon. I'm not entirely sure who they were getting to take those photos. And also, I do find it. Hold on. One thing I do want to say is I'm not a flat earther. So I want to get that out of the way.
Thank God.
I'm not. I definitely question what we've been taught and how much we've actually been out there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a healthy distrust for my government. So that's kind of where I am. That I think that there was a race to get there, and everybody wanted to be that group. And so one of those groups just kind of made it up, because I have a hard time in 2024, not dropping a call out on a back road in the middle of nowhere. But Nixon was on a good old rotary phone to the moon.
With a picture of the moon on the wall.
Yeah, a picture
of Earth from the moon, or whatever.
Yeah, a picture of Earth from the moon on the wall behind him, which I'm like, what?
Already?
Why didn't anybody ask questions about this? And then also, we always see that same photo of Earth, that blue marble photo, and I'm like, where are the stars? Where are the satellites? Where are the things? And we're just supposed to swallow up that it's all real footage. And I don't buy it.
That I respect that. But my personal belief is that, we landed on the moon. We didn't hang out in the Van Allen belt. Or actually, I'm not sure if that's what it is, the Van Allen belt, but we didn't hang out in that radiation field around the Earth long enough for adverse effects to take place on the astronauts. And they went to the moon and they had a little stroll. That's my personal belief.
But have you seen the videos where
it looks like they're on wires?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And those, I think, are the fake. I think those are the reproduced ones by Stanley.
But why are all the designs of the moon scooter made of duct tape? Why have they all gone missing?
That I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
And apparently we don't even have that technology from back then anymore in order to reproduce it to go back. That's kind of fishy so too.
Weird.
Yeah, and that that doesn't seem strange to you or make you want to stray away from.
Oops, we lost the greatest achievement in mankind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're more trusting of the government than I am, that's for sure. So on that note, I'm going to throw it out to the group. Does anybody have any more questions?
No.
I have one.
No.
Oh.
I'm just wondering, and this goes back, maybe I should have asked this much earlier on, but I'm just curious, how does one become an investigator for MUFON? And what does a day in the life look like? Like an average, do you just get reports from people and investigate? And how would you even investigate them? Is this kind of more like a PI type of investigation, or is this a whole organization?
So with MUFON, it is the reporting agency. So say if I was just a field investigator, so I was the one doing all the work. That's what I started out as with MUFON. So I would get a report assigned to me that would have been submitted to MUFON's database based on your location in Canada. So any report in Canada comes to the national chief investigator, and that chief investigator will either decide to take that report on himself or give it to one of their investigators. I had 25 field investigators.
Oh, wow.
When I was the national chief. But when I was doing just the investigating, I would get the report sent to me just through email. And it would have all the information in there. It'd be like the time, date, the location, the witness contact information, any images or video that was associated with the case. Everything would be in there. So once I have that information, I would do a quick preliminary investigation. I'd just read the report, see what kind of a sighting it was. If it was, say, like a small object, like something like a star. So that's immediately going to have me looking at stellarium and using the witness's location, be able to reproduce what was taking place in the sky at that moment, and being able to see what satellites were visible and if they line up with the witness and basically what the witness was reporting. It was just a star-like object traveling through the sky and disappeared after a couple seconds. That tells me that's most likely a satellite.
Okay.
I would get a hold of the witness. I would let them know, hey, either by email or by a telephone call, whichever they preferred. And I would just let them know. So this is what I found. I'd give them some screenshots of it, of stellarium showing that object that they reported directly in the sky where they said it was. And if that was that, then that's it. The case is closed. I would code it as an IFO, natural phenomena, or man-made phenomenon.
Okay.
If the witness said, no, that's not it, I'd say, okay, let's set up a time for an interview. So then I'd call him up, and he would basically break down everything that happened, tell me why he doesn't think my conclusion is what he saw, and then we would go from there. And that opens up other lines like checking out the flight radar data, or going on Google Earth, seeing his location. Weather plays a big part, because say you got like a radio tower in the distance and it's a cloudy night, suddenly you just see this red object way distant in the night sky, and then it disappears, but it's cloudy out. It could have been the radio tower, the light on top of it, clouds maneuvered, all kinds of things like that. So I would just basically look for every possible avenue, every tool I had. I would exhaust every bit of data that I could accumulate to determine what this person saw. If, in the rare event, I wasn't able to find out or figure out what it was, that's when it would be classified as an unknown, meaning we just don't know right now.
And just super quick, sorry, but what qualifies you to do that? Like, did you have to go somewhere to a certain school, a
training
degree?
It was a training course. Yeah.
Specifically for course. Like UFOs to identify or disprove them?
So you got to become a little bit of an expert at everything to become a good investigator. You got to know physics, you got to know math, you got to know weather, you got to know how to use computers, you got to be able to know how to read metadata in images or videos. You have to be able to look for little cues, and these are all skills that you'll develop over time. And a good national chief investigator will be the one who shows you those skills and shows you those techniques, how to go through everything. When I left MUFON, I made sure every one of my investigators were banging out reports like I did. They weren't doing this old school style of Venus is a UFO type of report, old stuff like that. I made sure I left it in good hands with qualified, rational thinking investigators.
That's really
now
cool.
What they do now? Yeah, what they do now, I have no idea. I haven't really kept in contact with too many of them. One of them, I've been on his podcast a few times. He was a really good investigator out in BC, but other than him, I haven't really spoken with much of them. But I actually have been thinking about getting back involved.
Oh, cool. Like just MUFON or on your own?
You got your crew
with
here.
MUFON. Yep.
Okay.
With MUFON again. I've been thinking about it.
Hayden's already planning to leave us. I can hear it.
Yeah, he's
not that.
ship, his new career move.
It's not that, but like I ask more because in my day to day, I see a lot of work similar to that. Not with UFOs at all, but just I'm curious, like one investigative mind to another. What does your job look like when you're investigating something that so many people don't believe in, right? Or at least are opposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
One person I've got a lot of help from. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, Mick West.
No.
Oh no. He's everybody's most hated debunker on Twitter.
Oh, I like.
He's been on Joe Rogan. He's pretty focused on there not being aliens, so he'll do some extensive investigative work to prove that he's not alien. So there's been a few times I've been stumped and I'd be like, hey Mick, tell me what you think about this, and as long as it's a most plausible explanation for something, I'd be like, yeah, what, I agree with that too. I'll go with his idea of it. That's what it is. That's what it is in this field. You become, it's your job to become a debunker when you become a UFO investigator, because
it sounded like
you only want the best, most credible information to go into the database. So that's something that you can use to refer against. If you have garbage going into the database being coded as UFOs, and that's the data you got to pull from, you're going to have garbage results. So it was like my mission to make sure only the most credible, authentic UFO reports, things that were legitimate, unknown objects, were being coded as such. So they could be used as future reference.
Is that how you'd combat a lot of the negativity and disbelief, is knowing that you went down every avenue to try and prove it and you couldn't even do it, and you're supposed to be the best at this?
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Cool shit.
Yeah, this has been super interesting. Jason, thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun. I feel like I got to ask all the questions that I've wanted to ask since I was a little girl. So thank you. So fun. Yeah, thank you for entertaining that. Just before I hand it over to the girls to say goodbye, just any final thoughts from you, and if you want to just tell our audience where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. I want to thank you all so much for having me on. I had a really good time. Like I mentioned, I am on the road right now, so I'm not as prepared as I would want to be. I would like to come back on again and drop some reports for you guys to just blow your minds, make you guys question reality.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Yes, please.
But yeah, other than that, people can find me on Twitter at UAP Bay. I have a podcast totally unrelated to UFOs that is called the Broken Home Podcast. It's on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Google Pods. Check us out. Some pretty amazing stories on there, though. That different type of amazing stories, though. Awesome.
Thanks so much, Jason. And definitely we want you to come back, because I'm sure we'll all have more questions. Hayden's going to start writing them down. He probably has some already done.
I already started my book.
And Hayden's he's gonna audition to join your team.
Yeah, I'm gonna be all up in your DMs on X. Sorry, but it's happening.
And I know Dave would definitely want to be a part of this. So definitely we'd love to have you back. Suze, any final thoughts for you?
Jason, like Tammy said, you were awesome. Thank you for being here and answering all these questions. Come back. I am a little disappointed that the CE5 is not real.
Me too. Me too.
There's got to be a way to make them come get us off this clown car. So if you figure that out, please let us know.
Take mushrooms.
Take mushrooms. I've done that before. I'm still on this clown car.
I haven't.
It gives you an escape for a little bit at least.
Yeah, and then you're back. And then you're back.
Yeah.
Ash, anything for you, and tell us what we are in for next.
Final thoughts. I actually, Suze, I didn't even think about the floating thing I saw in the sky. So thanks for bringing that up, because that was actually really interesting to kind of have someone like Jason analyze what happened. And I don't know why. See, and that's weird. Like, why didn't I even think of that? Why wouldn't I think of bringing that up? I don't know. But anyway,
I got you back.
Yeah, that was super interesting to hear that. And thanks so much for coming on. And we would definitely love to have you back. And as for what we're doing next, I actually have a Christmas dinner when we're supposed to record next.
Yeah, we're canceling next week.
Yes. So we
are. I knew that. That's my bad.
We are actually taking a break, and we should probably plan after the fact if we're going to go back to me after, if we're skipping me. We don't know that yet. So I definitely haven't planned that far forward, but I am talking to a bunch of awesome guests that are going to come on in the new year, and I'm really excited for that. So we'll be releasing that soon.
Awesome. Okay, Hayden, any final thoughts for you?
Yeah. First and foremost, Jason, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you, ladies, for having me on in place of Dave today. This has been amazing. Also, thank you for disproving Stephen Greer for me, from somebody who's a reputable source, unlike Stephen Greer.
That's right.
I heard about him first on a podcast many years ago, and I smelled bullshit from the first second I heard. He just trips over himself constantly. Yep. But anyway, your stories were fantastic, and it has me. It's going to have me looking at the night sky a little bit differently, that's for sure. So thank you so much. I can't wait to have you on again.
That's great to hear. And you know what? Stephen Greer wasn't always like that. He legitimately did some really good foundational work in this field by bringing it to government, speaking with the government in his early days. Then he found out that he could make a lot of money lying to people and scamming people.
Oh, because he partnered with the government. It makes complete sense.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Come full circle, right?
Yep, that's right. Now he's just a complete scumbag.
Just like the government.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, again, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. Definitely look forward to having you come back. And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. If you liked the episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will talk to all of you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.